And now, live from the Ford Studios in downtown Canton, here is your host for the Cleveland Sports Report, Nick Brolis. Good evening to you, Ohio, and welcome to a new, ugly sweater version of the Cleveland Sports Report. And of course, I am your host, Nick Brolis, and we are your TV home for Cleveland Indians baseball, your cable home for Cleveland Browns football, and of course your sister station for Cleveland Cavaliers basketball and the roller coaster that they are. And I'm certainly glad to come to you with this, as I just said a minute ago, ugly sweater. And I wanted to mix the show up a little bit. I wanted to kind of add something to it, and obviously, I want to know what you guys think about it. Mark, open up the phone lines right now. The phone line is 330-555-2821. Tweet at me at mbrolis, B as in boy, R-O-U-L-I-S, for some of you that may still not know how to spell it. And of course, email me, nickbrolis8404@yahoo.com. Let me know what you think of this glorious sweater. Now, obviously, this is not a fashion show, so to speak, but I wanted to add this to you. Of course, we're going to talk sports for the next 3 hours, and one of the first things that I want to talk to you guys about here on the Cleveland Sports Report is the Cavs. Up and down, up and down, up and down. That's what the season's been so far. We can't expect anything different, can we? I'm not expecting them to make the playoffs, but they had a decent week this past week, as for those of you that actually watch the games would know. And I'm not understanding why they're so up and down. For a stretch of 2 or 3 games, you watch them and you think, you know what, they're starting to get the hang of this. They're starting to get the hang of the fact that you have to get a high number of assists on this team, and you have to pass the ball, you have to move the ball, and you have to stop going into ISO situations, and you have to stop dribbling the ball 1,000 times with just one person. Kyrie, please. Now, granted, I know he had a great week, but still, we've got to get a high amount of assists. That's how we win our games. So, with that being said, Cavs had a tough loss at home against Toronto, actually, 99-93. Then they go down to Oklahoma City, and they win. The game that I did not expect them to win. They win convincingly, 114-104. And then they go back home, and they host Utah, and they annihilate them. Absolutely annihilate the Utah Jazz. Final score of 99-79 at the Q. And then they go to Memphis, and they lose. All of these games, might I add, they came out with a pretty good level of energy, which is what they need to do. And then, second half, for the games that they lost, they went flat. Flat. So, the next game is this Tuesday, 7 o'clock tip, at the Q, as they host the Spurs. This is a game I expect them to lose. Please don't listen to me, Cleveland Cavaliers. Please. Don't listen to me. Win the game. Make me look bad. Prove me wrong. Do something like that. The other thing that I want to talk about with the Cavs is actually in the form of a player, Spencer Hawes. We picked him up at the trade deadline. We didn't give hardly anything away, and the guy's played great. He's played absolutely phenomenal. Would you not agree, Mark? Yes. And he's played absolutely just great basketball. He has some camaraderie with the guys. He plays well with the most important player on the team, Kyrie Irving. And I love it. I love to watch him pass the ball. I like to see him knock down three-pointers deep in the queue. Thank you, Austin Carr. And the other thing that I really like to watch him do is move the ball. He knows where he's supposed to be for the most part, even though he doesn't know the offense that well yet. And it's just really fun to watch him and the Cavs play together. I really hope that they can keep this guy around for a little while. And for those of you that still want LeBron to come back, I think he's one of those guys that LeBron says, it's a big man. He knows how to pass. He can shoot the ball. He can post up. That's that's a pretty good piece that I'd love to play with. So, obviously your thoughts on the Cavs, 330-555-2821. Tweet at me at mbrolis. Email me, nickbrolis8404 at yahoo.com here on the Cleveland Sports Report. And now we're going to move to the Cleveland Browns. And yes, I know the draft is getting here sooner than we all think. Some of you, sooner than we hope. But we all know it's like the Super Bowl here in Cleveland. And this has nothing to do with that. But anyways, DeQuell Jackson, no longer a member of the Cleveland Browns. The defensive captain and overall team captain, if you ask me, and the now former inside linebacker, yes, former, because he was released this past week by the Browns. And obviously it was a financial decision on their part. He was due to make, I believe, $4 million. And I, for one, I'm not completely upset that he's gone. I like the guy. He was a good locker room guy. But there was three things that were going against him, I believe. One I just told you was the $4 million that he was owed. The other one, the Browns play a predominant 3-4 defense. You need big linebackers that can move in that defense. DeQuell Jackson is not a big linebacker by NFL standards. He's fast, just not really fast. Therefore, he's probably going to go to a team that plays a 4-3. And from what the rumors are, it's going to be either the Titans or it's going to be the Denver Broncos. I hope he ends up on a team that will give him a chance to win an NFL championship, much like with Phil Dawson signing with the 49ers last year, even though they didn't get the job done. So, with Phil Jackson, I'm sorry, not Phil Jackson. I'm not thinking NBA. Trust me, I'm not thinking NBA. With DeQuell Jackson being gone now, the Browns have also been rumored to be not interested in bringing back a Tom Rubin. Now, and before I forget, the other thing. DeQuell Jackson he is 31 years old, so the age thing is going against him as well. Before I forget that one, that was number 3. Tom Rubin has proven to me, and I'm sure all of you, that he is a quality defensive tackle, or nose tackle, depending on which defense you're running, and he's proven that he can play in both systems. He's not a sack master by any means, but he gets the job done. He plugs up the holes. Every now and then he'll get in there and he'll disrupt the play, if it's a run play. So I really hope that they can keep him around. I would really like to see a Tom Rubin stick around for the long term. He's a good player to me. So, now, moving on to the NFL draft. I had a couple people call into the show last week and had a couple people catch me off, while I was walking around the other day. And they asked me who I was still interested in the draft for the NFL. And I told them it hasn't changed. I love Sammy Watkins. I really do. And speaking of the Browns, this really has nothing to do with the show in its entirety, but I have a colleague in the media with me. I've known her for a little while now. She's done so much in terms of helping me get where I want to get in life, in terms of my career here with the broadcasting and now all of you. And her name is Katie, and she is originally out of state and moved to Ohio to cover the Buckeyes. Her passion. She loves the Buckeyes and she loves the Browns. And she just got a hold of me this week and told me that she recently got called, if you will, from, I think the website is called ilovecleveland.com. And they recently just put her on assignment and she is now covering both the Buckeyes and the Browns. I love her dearly because she's done so much for me. And she's just a great person and I love her to death. So, Katie, congratulations on now not only covering the Buckeyes, but covering the Browns. I know it's been a lifelong dream of yours to be able to do both teams, and now you got your wish. So, with that being said, moving on to the final topic of the night, other than the fact that the Buckeyes in basketball absolutely stink. They can't score points. They couldn't even beat Penn State, where there was maybe 5,000 people. And it's just, they were ranked 22 going into the night. They're not even going to be in the top 25 come Monday. They're not. They're just not. Aaron Kraft tied the Big Ten record for most steals in a career. And I'm happy for him, but that means nothing to me when it comes to this March Madness tournament that's about to begin. And The only other thing regarding the Buckeyes basketball team is Quentin Ross. I just have a problem with him because I think he has an attitude problem. He's been ejected from one game already, which was the game against Northwestern last week. And then this week again, just tonight, when they were playing Indiana and they lost, he got into another confrontation, if you will, with an Indiana player. Although, it was a good hard foul. It was clean in my opinion, so I'm just not a big fan of him. Now, the other, because we are on time constraints with this show, with the Indians and the spring training stuff, which we'll have more about the Indians and the spring training on the next CSR, is player contracts. Mike Trout for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. He just signed a one-year deal, but he's working on signing I think it's a 6-year, $150 million contract. I'm telling you right now, in less than 5 years, specifically a baseball player will sign a contract for $300 million. I promise you that. I bet you it happens in less than 5 years. At the rate that these contracts are going up, it's going to happen. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, and I wanted you guys to let me know what you think, obviously, I'm not sure why so many of these players over the last 10 years or so are all about playing on what's on the back. The name on the back. What happened to playing for the name on the front? Don't understand it. The players these days just don't understand the fact of you will get your money. You will get your accolades both individually and obviously team-wise if you play well. If you play good enough and you help your teams, you will get what you deserve. How is that so hard to understand? And another thing is, I don't understand what they have this issue with jumping from team to team if things aren't working out. And I hate to use this for an example, but LeBron James, I have nothing against him personally. I think he's a good guy, off the court, so to speak. And yes, he had every right to leave Cleveland because his contract was up. But what I didn't like about it is the fact that he had that stupid show, The Decision, and then he says, you know what? I'm going to just go up and join my buddies down in South Beach, and I'm going to win a championship with them. I know he gave 7 years, but this is my issue with that, is that Miami fans, and I know you guys are like, it's just a business that nobody cares about the fans. That's the problem. Whatever happened to the loyalty and the love for the team that you play for? Whatever happened to that? It's been lost, in my opinion, for a long time. But I guess what I'm getting at here is whatever happened in taking pride for the team, for the city that you play for, instead of the name on the back all the time. Whatever happened to that? Obviously, I want you guys to let me know what your opinion is on all of that. The Cavs, the playoff push that I don't think they're going to be able to make, the Browns and their player movement right now. And if any of you guys want to talk about the Buckeyes basketball team, I'm still open-minded to that. I'm looking at the screen here, and I see nothing. I don't see anybody that wants to talk about them, which I understand. If any of you guys want to talk about the Indians in spring training, that's fine with me too, even though I didn't bring up any of it. It's because I've been so busy with so many other things. And obviously what I just threw out to you with the player contracts, the team's moving, the players just keep moving and whatnot. I know it's going to be like that for as long as I live and probably forever. But let me know. Call me up here on the Cleveland Sports Report, 330-555-2821. Tweet at me, @mbrolis, and email us, nickbrolis8404 @yahoo.com. And I look forward to talking to you right after this.